Hi lollies, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Belinda's channel. Thank you for all the love and support. Don't forget to please subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications so that anytime I upload videos, you'll be the first person to be notified. To my returning subscribers, to those people that share my videos, leave commentaries, and also educate each and every one of ours. You guys are the real MVP. So lovelies, I came across this video recently for you, and I thought to share with you guys where so many veterans for TP is actually out with range. They were also disappointed to the fact that this man or his administration does not really care about them, though it goes as far as going for a portrait. They calling upon people to come to their aid, actually help them with all of the things going on. Guys, I'm just going to roll the clip as well as some of other stitches I was able to put together. Please leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video, and let's dive into it.
You're lying! I'm a veteran! You don't give a fuck about me! Shut the fuck up! You don't get the fucking union to us! You don't get to take away our rights! You don't get to take our health! Get off of me! You don't get the union to us! Fuck you!
So to be clear, I deeply value the contributions that
Just to be clear,
make
bullshit, and you're not telling the
every
truth.
day
You're not listening.
Let him speak. Let him speak.
service. For example, folks at the National Weather Service
Are fired!
I've said it before and I'll say it again. When that Simpsons episode becomes real, it's going to be someone from inside of his club. It's going to come from the inside. It's going to be one of his own people. Clock it.
I just want to point out this man got a standing ovation. A standing ovation for speaking up and saying something. A few weeks ago, when it was a white woman, it was dead fucking silence. It was fucking crickets. This is some bullshit. There is zero unity in this country whatsoever. It's genders, it's racism, it's fucking religions. I'm so fucking sick of this shit.
Okay, so maybe instead of the thing that everyone else seems to be doing, which is making fun of people's abject horror and misery, and like making leopards ate my face jokes, maybe what we can instead do is not treat other working class people like shit and use this as an opportunity to like explain more leftist positions to people. You know what I mean? Build like an actual coalition instead of continuing to fight each other, you know? Like, maybe we don't need to be making fun of people. And I'm definitely a hypocrite here because I do think that tech bros, finance douchebags, and landlords, all fair game. But, like, this dude's just a veteran. He's just like a normal guy, and he's scared. And y'all are making fun of him instead of, like, finding common ground. Seems stupid.
It's time to speak up. Citizens of the world that are telling us you are not seeing on the media that the Americans are protesting, I'm going to show you what America thinks. We know that our media is suppressing our voice. So people around the world, this is America. Tell them. Tell them. We do not support this. People around the world, our media is being suppressed. I have people all over the world following this who says, we see nothing. It looks like Americans are rolling over. Tell them what Americans are doing. Tell them this is what Americans are doing. This is live in D.C. So people around the world, remember, when we restore our government to sanity, we will remember our friends and allies. Go love your neighbor.
President Trump and Elon Musk. My name is James Jones, and I'm a veteran of the Gulf War. I served in the U.S. Army as a combat engineer during that conflict. VA has been and is my lifeline as I deal with multiple health impacts from my service. Millions of veterans who served in wartime rely on the VA for their health care. Cutting 80,000 positions from the VA is a punch in the gut to America's heroes that already deal with understaffed facilities. It's no surprise since you, President Bone Spurs, received 5 draft deferments to avoid serving in the Vietnam War, and that Elon Musk not served fled to Canada to avoid compulsory service in the South African Armed Forces. Your draft dodging is dishonorable, cowardly, and disgusting. Hopefully you can rise out of your selfish stupor and fully fund the VA instead of abandoning America's heroes.
If you're a veteran that lost their job recently because the government did some cutbacks, my heart's with you. But that is what's called life. Veterans that got out before in generation past didn't go raise hell, didn't go join another political party thinking they're going to get what they want. Life doesn't promise you a rose garden, okay, ultimately. And steel mills were closed, changed, happened. It wasn't for the better in some cases, but citizens had to move on, had to find a way to move on. And that's what we need to do as society. These cutbacks are important because otherwise we're going to go bankrupt. Okay. Now I'm over here facing the same kind of issue because pursuing a master's degree in social work, I get an internship at the VA. May or may not happen. Does that mean I'm going to go cry about it? No. I may not even, the job might even be available at the VA after I get done with the internship. Am I going to cry about it? No. I'm going to roll on. I'm going to find something else to do. I'm going to hustle. I'm going to get by. I'm going to provide for my family. I'm not going to complain and whine about it, you know? But venting is okay. You can always vent because if you hold it in, you'll explode, right? So I don't know, you guys. I'm just Tim. I'm not on a high horse. I don't even think my opinion is that whatever. But I'm popping it out there, okay? Like whoop-de-doo. Now I'll go back to doing what I do best. It has nothing to do with politics. Semper Fi.
PSA, don't forget today is March 14th. Veterans nationally will be marching against Trump. So find your march in your state and go support them. Veterans against Donald Trump. Maga, come out and support your local veterans. Thank you. Oh, and by the way, if you're in Denver, the Veterans March is at noon at the state capitol downtown. Thanks.
Hey, I'm not Maga, don't scroll. I just wanted to remind everybody real quickly that today is the day of the veteran marches. And so I would ask you to support them in any way that you possibly can. If you can physically make it to a protest and add to those numbers, please do so. They're happening not only in Washington, D.C., but every single state capital and many city halls at larger cities throughout the states. If you can't get there in person, that's fine. Not everybody can do that. Please support them in other ways. There's going to be thousands of content creators that are streaming live from the protests, and so you can at least do something to bring awareness by sharing those lives, giving them some likes, following those creators so that we can continue to keep focus on that. Because we can't let up for a second. We have to keep protest after protest after protest in the biggest numbers that we can, because we can't lose sight of the fact that they're never resting. They are working every single day to dismantle our democracy and put us further into fascism. They're not taking any breaks, so we can't either. So again, any way that you possibly can, please support these marches. Hopefully I'm going to see you out there.
Hey, good morning. Scott Huffman here. I'm on my way to Raleigh to participate in the Veterans March that's happening today on March the 14th. I can't wait to meet and see my fellow veterans, brothers and sisters who took the oath to serve this country and swear an allegiance to the Constitution. Like General Milley, we don't take an oath to the king, and therefore I'm out here to protest the veterans cuts that President Musk and Trump are doing to our veterans. They've never supported our veterans. If they did, they would be doing everything to make sure we had the best health care to fulfill the promise that we were given for serving our country. So look forward to seeing all our veterans out there in Raleigh today. I'll be posting photographs and doing some video. Hope to see you there.
Why are veterans from around the country marching in D.C., and what are they trying to accomplish? My name is Christopher Goldsmith. I'm a former United States Army Sergeant, and I'm the founder of Task Force Butler Institute and Veterans Fighting Fascism. And this is a video to talk about this weekend's protests and to put it in the context of the current political moment and the history of veterans protesting in the United States and the way that veterans have moved mountains in the past. So first of all, let's start with why the protest is happening now. This date was chosen because March 14th, 3/14, is symbolic for the third section of the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. And that is the section that explicitly bans insurrectionists from serving in the United States government. Donald Trump is an adjudicated insurrectionist, and he should not be eligible to serve in government as president. The 14th Amendment was passed in the wake of the Civil War to protect the Constitution from sabotage. Unfortunately, when the state of Colorado and their Supreme Court decided that, yes, Donald Trump meets the definition of an insurrection after a fair trial, and they removed him from the ballot, the United States Supreme Court stepped in and undid that. And the United States Supreme Court, with its conservative supermajority, actually went further than what the case called for. Now, the Constitution is unfortunately silent on the way that the third section of the 14th Amendment is supposed to be invoked. What the case called for was to decide whether or not a state has the power to remove a presidential candidate from the ballot. Instead, the Supreme Court decided that they were going to define the only way that an insurrectionist could lose eligibility for government service. And that would be through passing a law through a supermajority of Congress. So what does that tell you? That there is no possible way that an insurrectionist will ever be banned from office, because the GOP, the grand old party, the party of Lincoln, has been co-opted by insurrectionists who are seeking to destroy our democracy. So does that mean that the veterans coming to Washington, D.C. are wasting their time and that their protest is a waste of energy and totally pointless? No, absolutely not. Veterans are not under the false belief that Congress or the Supreme Court are going to suddenly wake up and say, oh, actually, the Constitution does matter. What this protest is about is showing that veterans are maintaining their commitment to the oath that we took to defend the Constitution of the United States from all enemies, foreign and domestic. It is to peacefully demonstrate in a way that is going to hopefully break the myth that Donald Trump, the media, and frankly, most Americans continue to perpetuate. And that myth is that all veterans support Donald Trump, or that even a majority of veterans support Donald Trump. And this is the kind of thing I actually see in my comments section all the time across social media. When I do videos about how Donald Trump is sabotaging veterans, I get tons of comments from ignorant people coming in and say, well, veterans voted for him, so they fucked around and now's the time to find out. As if veterans voting for Trump means that the entire population of veterans in the United States deserves to suffer for their vote. According to the same logic, they, the commenters, also deserve to suffer because a plurality of Americans voted for Donald Trump. He won the popular vote this time. That belief, frankly, is stupid. No one deserves to suffer because of their identity. Now, as for the belief that most veterans voted for Donald Trump, that is not true. Just like most Americans did not vote for Donald Trump. When you combine the number of people who voted against Donald Trump for Harris or for a third-party candidate, or people who didn't vote at all, that makes up the vast majority of Americans, as it makes up the majority of veterans. So what these protests this weekend are to show Americans that no, veterans are not a monolith, just like Americans are not a monolith. Now, one thing that I want to do in regard to these protests is manage expectations. This protest, in my opinion, both as a former organizer of protests like this and as a threat analyst who studies grassroots movements and protests to detect threats, it is my opinion that the organizers behind this particular protest are not experienced enough, and they don't have the logistical support necessary to make a really big, moving protest that's going to grab a ton of headlines and get lots of attention. But with that said, this is going to allow us to kind of take the temperature and see how many veterans from the grassroots are willing to take the time to go out and protest. It won't be easy for them today. There is not a source of funding, flying people in or paying for hotels. There are not membership-based organizations who've been planning for weeks on the logistics necessary to get people to states' capitals and in DC. So frankly, if there's any showing at all, I think that's pretty impressive. Now, some people who have some awareness of the history of veterans and protests in the United States have been calling this like the modern day bonus army. But let me tell you, we're not even close to that right now. But we can get there, and I think we will, somewhat soon. The bonus army happened in 1932. World War I veterans were told that for every day that they served in theater, they would be given a bonus. When they returned home from overseas, Congress reneged on the promise because they didn't have the gold in the treasury to back the bonuses. The Great Depression happened, and there were tens of thousands of veterans and their families who went down to D.C. and camped out on the national lawn for 2 months to demand their bonuses that they were promised for serving in combat. Now, there are parallels to what's going on today. Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and Secretary of Veterans Affairs Doug Collins are doing their damn best to sabotage the Department of Veterans Affairs so that veterans don't get the health care or benefits and education that they were promised for serving in a time of war. Now, thanks to lawsuits by veterans, including myself and other veterans organizations, unions, a lot of what Elon Musk and the Doggy Boys have tried to do has been rolled back, at least somewhat, by the judicial branch. And frankly, because of their incompetence, things aren't going for them as well as they thought it would in their slash and burn and destroy take on political leadership. So we are not yet at a point where a ton of veterans, or really a ton of Americans, are truly upset about what's going on in this country. But we are just a few months away from critical systems failing where everyone will feel it. So I don't think that we're very far off from a modern iteration of the bonus army. We have seen from major veteran service organizations, ones that are considered pretty conservative, not just in terms of their members' political beliefs, but in the actions that their leadership takes. They are conservative in that they are not going around knocking things over. Veterans of Foreign Wars, which I am a life member of, came out pretty strongly to condemn the arbitrary cuts at the VA. And their members, a very conservative base who tends to be a little older, and these people are fully supportive of VFW's leadership coming out and saying, no, what you're doing is fucked up. So if the courts are not able to fully stop Trump, Musk, and the Doggy Boys from destroying the VA, I think we're just a few months away from MAGA Republican veterans turning on Trump, Musk. So if you're interested in learning more about the history of veterans and the power of protest, check out my latest Substack post where I go into the history of the bonus army and what they were able to do not just for themselves, but for all of the United States. The tens of thousands of veterans and their families who camped out on the National Mall in 1932 created the political space that was necessary not just to pass things like the GI Bill, which made university educations approachable for the middle class, but it built the middle class here in the United States. It was that veterans' protest in a time when billionaires were working to try to destroy promises made to veterans so that billionaires could save tax dollars. It was those veterans who helped to create the political environment necessary to pass the New Deal. So are the March 14th protests going to accomplish this? Absolutely not. But as I explain in my Substack piece, I do believe that we are on the precipice of real change. You look at the context of the world we're living in today. The response from everyday people to what Luigi did, that tells me it's not just veterans who are getting ready for something different. It's everyday Americans who've started to wake up and realize that the billionaires are a predatory class. And as Donald Trump and Elon Musk, the embodiment of corrupt billionaires, wreak havoc on our democracy, and their destruction of the federal government starts to impact the lives of every American, I think we're that much closer to a long, hot summer that's going to bring us closer to a better, more fair constitutional.
Like, seriously, lovely, is the worst part with all of this thing going on. The worst part about this whole drama that is being unfolded is the fact that these same people that is actually complaining, coming out, having an emotional breakdown, mental, breakdown, and all of the protests that is being going, they all contributed to what they are saying today. I keep on asking myself, where was this energy during the course of, the electoral period? Where was this energy during the campaign period? Where was the energy when people that look like me were actually telling these people, like, guys, you really need to open your eyes. Forget about all of the promises that he is being putting out there. Where was all of this drama, where was it? They knew that this person is this type. Like, they knew the kind of person that he is. It's not as if this is the first time that he has ever, become a president or whatsoever. They know this is not the second time. This might not even be the third time. But you guys actually put yourself in this situation. Okay, I want to actually make emphasis on the woman I stitched her video talking about how this is not the period at which people to, abortion blames or laugh or smile. Like, what do you expect people to do? This is a case of you voting against your own interest. And do you want people who probably told you not to do this way to come out to start crying with you? Like, they have done their own crying when they were supposed to do that. That was during, before the election, during the campaign. They campaigned. They actually did their own findings. They did their own research. But when they were all busy doing that, people like this were not taking them serious. People like this were like, what are they saying? What are they doing? No matter what you do, we know exactly who we want to put in power or who we want to put in charge. And now these people have actually decided to mind their business, then allow you guys to reap what you sow. Like, they say that the way at which you make your bed, that is the same way you are going to lay on it. So these same people who have been troubled and try to make you understand that, oh, I think voting the way that you want to vote is not going to actually hurt matters. But you decided not to listen. You decided to do things the way you want to do. Then you want these people to come rant with you, to come cry with you, to come do this with you. Like, it's just giving selfishness. They told you what you need to do. They told you the reason why your choices might not actually be the best one, but maybe because of, I don't even know what to say anymore. Because of your personal interest. I won't say personal interest because you're already now crying after going through your personal interest. So maybe because you actually thought that the administration will favor you more, then the other people might just wallow. You decide not to listen to those same people who actually probably sat down to do their own research. And now that things are going, things are not going the way at which you wanted, you are crying out and you are actually begging those people you actually thought that things were going to be worse off for to come join you. Seriously, lovelies. This is something that was supposed to be prevented. But all because so many people, actually voted because of their personal interest without even thinking about someone else. That is why everything is just going bankrupt right now. There is a video I actually stitched yesterday. This woman who probably was working with this, she actually talked about how her work related whatsoever was especially for special people in need. And she actually voted for Maga. She's a Maga supporter, but she can't bring up herself to tell her followers or her client that she is actually a Maga supporter. But she decided to make a confession yesterday. She goes as far as to say that, okay, she actually, voted the way that she voted because she thought that was going to be the best way, even if a lot of people are looking up to her, despite the fact that she is someone that is presumed to be there for people. She's always there for special needed people. She's always there for people that is going through so many problems in terms of discrimination and all of that. But you decide to also, with your clear eyes, vote for someone who does not care about people. Like, what makes you, what what are you? And she goes as far as to tell people not to judge her, that they shouldn't judge her based on her own political beliefs. Like, what makes you think that your own political belief and ideology does not state the kind of person that you are? or your personality. She was begging people, trying to tell people not to, define her by her own political beliefs, that her political belief is very different from her normal person, from the person that she represents. Like, how is it possible? You can't be representing someone who people really need to look up to in times of maybe discrimination, in times of if you need someone, depression, and all of that. But you want to vote, you are voting for someone who is probably, you know, someone that people that is looking up to you do not want to have nothing to do with. Like, make it make sense. That means you're just a hypocrite. You are spitting A and doing B. That is just what I see. But she was all out trying to tell her people, or the people that looked up to her, not to judge her based on her political. A lot of people actually healed from her platform. Like, people healed, but because of she came out like she can't take it anymore. She feel that she hold people, apology. She feels so as if she has betrayed some certain set of people. Like, this is just the same thing that we are just trying to say. People voted not because of someone else or because of your fellow. You voted because you think that it was going to benefit you personally. Like, selfishness took hold of you. And now that is backfiring, you are beginning to come out to confess. Anyway, lovely listener, just leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video. And please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We're just here for educational and informative purposes. So guys, if you've not subscribed to this channel, do your girl a huge favor to click on the subscription button, like, and I will see you lovelies when I upload the next one. Your own thought in the comment section of what you think of this video. And please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We are just here for educational and informative purposes. So if you've not subscribed to this channel, do your girl a huge favor to click on the subscription button, like, and I will see you lovelies when I upload the next one.